All right, okay. So, as I said, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Economic Development and Harlem Piers meeting. Today we're doing hybrid because we have members who are out in the field and also presenters who have requested to appear and do their presentation virtually. So I want to start by saying Happy New Year to everyone. It's great to see you. I hope you had a wonderful celebration. Okay.
Thank you.
So let's call the meeting to order. And if you can you just, let's go around the room and please just say your names for the record. And also indicate if you are a member of the committee or if you are a presenter, please. There's no order because I'm virtual, so let's just jump right in. My name is Joyce Adomi. I'm the co-chair of the Economic Development and Harlem Piers Committee of Community Board 9.
John Martin Green, committee member.
I'm Veronica Jones of Custom Collaborative, a presenter. Thank you.
I'm Amelia Lewis with Custom Collaborative, a presenter.
Welcome.
Signe Mortensen, I am a board member, but not of this committee. I'm on the Housing, Land Use, and Zoning.
Welcome.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm Clotilde Mouria, and I'm a board member of this committee.
I'm Clayton, also a committee member. Clayton Sanford.
Welcome.
I'm Michael Iglesias, and I'm a committee member as well.
Welcome.
Jazz Hooks, I am a presenter with We Act for Environmental Justice.
Okay. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Christopher Lee. I'm with the Department of City Planning, and I will be presenting with Audrey today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Audrey Walks. I'm with the Department of City Planning. I'm a borough planner for community boards 9 and 12.
Welcome. See, anybody else?
Yes, good evening. My name is Victor Edwards. I'm Chair of Community Board 9.
Hi, Victor, welcome.
Thank you.
Is Miss Dunn? I see her name. Is she able to? Miss Dunn, are you there? Okay. So we're not going to waste any time. We are going to be mindful of time and also respectful of everyone's time. So I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:37. We do have a quorum. Let's take a look at the agenda, please. And let's know, committee members, if you want to add anything, or members, you want to add anything to it? If not, a motion to adopt the agenda will be appreciated.
Chair, I'd like to ask that we discuss if we should discuss the letter that I drafted related to the parks audit. For the
Okay.
Harlem Piers audit.
Okay, where do you want us to add that? Let's see. That'll be
That could be
under
under
business.
old business.
Old business, okay. All right. Okay, so we add that. Please do me a favor and remind me just in case I forget, because I'm not able to do that right now. That will be
Under old business.
under old, yes, under old business. Right. All right. So Anything
Oh,
else?
I move that, yeah, or I second the motion that we adopt the minutes. I mean, adopt the agenda, that is,
With the additional,
with the addendum, yes.
all right, thank you so much. Has everyone, any second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Anyone opposed? All right, the agenda is adopted. Can we take a look at the minutes, please? If there are no corrections, if someone can move for adoption of minutes,
So moved.
anyone second?
Second.
Thank you so much. The minutes have been adopted. So we're now going to the introductions, presentation, and announcement. And first presenter is the city of, has to do with the city of Yes. So Department of City Planning have a presentation for us about the city of Yes zoning for economic opportunity.
Joyce, if I
Please.
could just make a quick intro for
Yes.
Audrey, because this is officially housing, land use, and zoning's area, and but it involves all of our committees on Community Board 9. This is part of the Mayor Adams City of Yes plan. They've got 3 zoning text amendment initiatives. One has already gone through for carbon neutrality. This is the second one for economic opportunity, so it's very vital to your committee, economic development, and we thought it was really important that you guys had a good chance to have Audrey and Christopher here to have a short presentation tonight, and then ask your questions to formulate some feedback and comments from your perspective on economic development, because it's a big text amendment. There are 1,200 pages, and there are officially 18 proposals in this. So it's large, and we need everybody's hands on deck to help us get all the feedback we need. There will be a public hearing for our community board. We have arranged to have the next general board be a public hearing January 18th at 6:30, where we need everybody's voice involved. Please help us spread the word. Joyce, I'll send you the flyer, or you might have just gotten it from the office today. Please share it with everyone and anyone you know. We need as many voices and partners in the community there to hear what's happening. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Sydney. Did everyone get the flyer that was sent out today?
In English and Spanish, I think Madison sent it. There's also an online form which is on the flyer, so you can give us your feedback online. I made a form, so.
All right, thank you. So did everyone get the flyers? If you not, it will help Madison so that she can send it out again. Did everyone get it? I know I saw it. But who didn't get it? You want to take a minute to look in your emails?
I'll post in the chat the link as well, which has the information for the public hearing.
Okay. All right, we're going to move on. Thank you so much, Sydney. I'm sure that many people have questions, but we'll just move along and go into the presentation. Okay. You want to introduce our speaker as well, Sydney, please?
Oh, sure. We have 2 representatives from Department of City Planning, that's DCP. Audrey, who has been working with us on this for the last couple months. And I've not met Christopher, but looking forward to meeting Christopher Lee.
Very nice to meet you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. And I'm looking forward to discussing the City of Yes for Economic Opportunity proposal tonight. Is there a way to turn on screen sharing? It says that it's disabled for me.
Okay, let me make you co-chair as well. Give me a second. Okay. Oh, I'm not seeing the thing to make you a co-chair. Madison, are you there?
So if you go down to participants, can you see participants in the lower part of
Yeah.
the screen? And
Yeah, I can actually
click on
see.
Miss Wax and you can make her a co-host. You should be able to.
I'm actually seeing her here, participants. And
If you click on her, the option should come up to make her a co-host.
What I'm seeing spotlight for everyone, rename, allowed to record local file, allowed to type in, put in waiting room, remove report. That's what I see for her.
If it's easier, I think I sent a copy of the presentation yesterday. So if it's easier, you could present on your screen and I could give the presentation on my end. Let me know what works best.
Joyce,
Okay.
Joyce, do you have a little shield on your screen, on the bottom of your screen? Something that looks like a little shield that's for privacy and security? If you have it, make sure that when you click in there, share screen is clicked on, and then I think perhaps if it's not clicked, she can't share screen, but if it is, she can, possibly.
Looking at a locked meeting, enable waiting rooms, high profile pictures, share screen.
Make sure that's chosen and perhaps that'll help.
Okay. All right, I've clicked on that. And can you try it now?
That worked, I think.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sydney.
Can everyone see my screen without notes, or do you see the note screen?
I see the notes.
Okay, let me switch that around.
You're good.
Great. Let me just pull up my notes here. Sorry. Okay, can you see screen without notes?
No, we're just seeing you.
Okay, let me try this again. Sorry.
We see it now.
Okay, great. Let me see. Okay, does this look good, or can you see notes?
We can still see notes. Audrey, do you want to just send me the presentation and I can share my screen? Okay.
Sorry about that. All right, let me know when you got that.
I also have it, I think is the PDF here, if it's the same one you sent the other day.
It is the same one, yeah.
Okay, I think I have it as well. Hold on. It's 11 pages.
Yes.
Would you like me to do it?
Let's see. Chris and I are both in the office, so if Chris could do it, and if not, definitely Signy, that would work.
Can you see the screen now on my
I
computer?
can see you.
You
I
see
can
the-
Perfect. How is this?
There we go. Yep.
Amazing.
That's good? Okay. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for your patience. So let's get started. So as Signy mentioned, this is a very long zoning text. There are 4 goals and 18 proposals, and I'm going to cover a lot of ground in this short presentation. So I kindly ask that you hold questions until the end so we can really dive into each one. With that said, let us dive in. Next slide. So as Signy mentioned, this is the second of 3 major citywide reforms to the zoning resolution. The first was carbon neutrality. Today we're discussing economic opportunity. And the third will be housing opportunity, which is coming later this year. Next slide. So before we dive into the proposal itself, I think it's helpful to go over what zoning governs when it comes to business in New York City. Zoning defines hundreds of what are called uses or business types and sorts them by zoning district and regulates things like what kind of business activities one can do in a space and how big a particular space or business can be. In many cases, the way that zoning regulates businesses hasn't been updated in more than 60 years. So there are outdated and sometimes counterproductive regulations on business activity. For example, like preventing a bar from advertising the time that a band might perform, or setting a strict square footage cap on how much space a bakery can devote to baking. Next slide. So these are citywide proposals to change our zoning, and they apply to all 5 boroughs and all 59 community districts. But I'd like to focus for a second on what this means for Community District 9. So on the as an economic snapshot of the district, there's about 46,000 jobs, with most jobs concentrated in the institutional macro sector, which covers education and healthcare, and a large share of those jobs are with or adjacent to Columbia University. Private sector employment is at about 99% of pre-pandemic levels, so nearly full recovery, which is higher than the Manhattan average economic recovery and on pace with the city's economic recovery overall. So zooming into the ground level, there are about 1,300 storefronts in the district that are located on neighborhood streets and along commercial corridors, as you can see on this map at right. And about 1 in 10 of these storefronts are vacant, a rate that is lower than both the Manhattan average and the city's storefront vacancy average overall. Next slide. So now that we have that community snapshot, let's dive into the ZEO goals and proposals. As I mentioned, there's 4 goals and 18 proposals. So we're going to review each one briefly and then circle back for questions at the end. So goal 1, we want to make it easier for businesses to find space and grow by lifting zoning barriers so businesses can locate closer to their customers. Excuse me. In most cases, our zoning rules governing businesses haven't been updated since the early 1960s. And so we believe that it's time to update our zoning to reflect and respond to the economic needs of today. Our first 6 proposals aim to do that. They aim to make our zoning simpler, more adaptable, and more modern so businesses can more easily locate and grow. So proposal 1. Today, storefronts that are deemed non-conforming face an arbitrary 2-year time clock for reactivation, or else these storefronts have to remain vacant, which is a direct contributor to vacancy in our city. We're proposing to remove that time clock so vacant storefronts can be reoccupied. Proposal 2. In many places in the city, we have similar zoning districts, that are located along the same corridor or on opposite sides of the street and yet allow different kinds of businesses. For example, a bike rental shop can exist in one district, but in another immediately adjacent district, one could only open a bike repair store. So this is an outdated and confusing set of rules that routinely holds back business location or expansion. We're proposing to simplify the difference between similar kinds of zoning districts to make it easier for businesses to know where exactly they can locate. Proposal 3. Despite changes in technology and a vastly different economy, our city's zoning rules are stuck in the 60s with how they treat certain maker businesses. We want to allow small scale clean production like pottery studios, bakeries, coffee roasters, jewelry makers, apparel designers, and things like that to locate in commercial districts for the first time, instead of only allowing these uses in manufacturing districts. Proposal 4. If one of the clean production businesses in the last proposal wanted to move into an empty office building, today they would face rules that would require them to add additional loading docks, even if they don't need them for their business, and even if the building can't physically accommodate those loading docks. We want to allow for older commercial buildings to change over time, not by not mandating a business tear apart the ground floor of a building to provide new loading docks. Proposal 5. Today, zoning allows for many businesses to have a mix of residential and commercial uses, but zoning sometimes restricts businesses from being able to use the upper floors. This limits options for new buildings to be built that contain both residences and businesses, or for older buildings to adapt over time. We want to enable renovations or new construction of mixed-use buildings in these places where it makes sense by allowing commercial uses at the same level or above residences, provided that a complete separation of uses is maintained. Proposal 6. Our zoning hasn't updated the terms it uses to classify businesses in a very long time. And it's full of antiquated terms like shoddy manufacturing and typewriter repair, which makes it harder for new business types like cell phone repair stores to know where they can locate. So we're proposing to simplify and modernize these use terms that we use in zoning, so it is easier for businesses to know where exactly they can operate. Next slide. On to our second goal. We want to support growing industries by reducing obstacles in zoning for emerging business types. Each of the industries highlighted in the second goal, urban agriculture, life sciences, nightlife, amusements, and home-based businesses, face ambiguity or outdated restrictions in our zoning, and we want to address those obstacles so we can help emerging business types thrive, not only in our neighborhoods, but across the city, and create jobs in all 5 boroughs. So on to proposal 7. Businesses that want to operate indoor agriculture facilities, such as vertical farming within commercial areas, right now face uncertainty with today's zoning rules. We would clarify that indoor agriculture is allowed in C districts, so more food can be grown closer to communities. Proposal 8. Life science laboratories often face confusing and outdated rules that slow the development of new facilities. We would make it clear that labs without the potential for environmental hazard are appropriate in office settings, and we'd also expand where an existing special permit can be used, so labs might be able to locate in the future closer to research centers like hospitals and universities. Proposal 9. Restaurants and bars face confusing regulations on whether they can host concerts, dancing, comedy shows, or open mic nights. We're simplifying the rules so these restrictions on capacity and occupancy are based on the size of the venue rather than the activity, so that you'll only see small venues in neighborhood commercial corridors and larger venues in places like Midtown. Just gonna put a peg here, which is to say that we use the term nightlife, but nightlife is a broader encompassing category that includes amusements, restaurants, bars, galleries, any establishment that's open from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. or, you know, has some operating hours in those times. So restaurants are the biggest category of nightlife. So the definition both encompasses, you know, like a traditional, like a club, something that you would traditionally think with nightlife, and as well as, you know, a neighborhood restaurant or bar. So on to proposal 10. Zoning has outdated terms for defining experiential amusement businesses like VR or children's arcades, and often restricts these kind of businesses to places like Coney Island or the city's industrial areas. We would simplify and modernize how zoning treats amusements and recreational activities to make it clear to these businesses, make it clear that these businesses are allowed indoors and at a small scale on a neighborhood street and at a larger scale in office districts. Proposal 11. Many New Yorkers start their businesses in their home, and zoning allows for a wide range of home businesses, including lawyers, jewelry makers, and music teachers. The pandemic really changed how New Yorkers work from home, but our zoning has not kept up with those changes. It prohibits specific occupations like barbers or interior decorators, and places other restrictions on that hold those types of businesses back. So we're proposing to enable entrepreneurship with modern rules for home-based businesses, while keeping in place safeguards to ensure that any home-based businesses are being good neighbors. Next slide. Our third goal is to foster vibrant neighborhoods by ensuring businesses contribute to active, safe, and walkable streets. Economic vibrancy isn't just about what occurs inside of a building, but it's also about how a business interacts with its surroundings. Inconsistency in existing streetscape regulations, or in some cases, a total absence of zoning rules, means that there's no way to curb some of the worst outcomes of business activity spilling out into the public right-of-way, or creating conditions that are unpleasant or even unsafe for passing pedestrians and cyclists. So our 3 proposals in this goal are designed to ensure that businesses can contribute to active, safe, and walkable streets. So proposal 12, streetscape conditions like long blank walls and drive-throughs break up retail streets and can create unpleasant and sometimes unsafe conditions for passerbys. But in vast parts of the city, there are no rules whatsoever to prevent new buildings that make these conditions worse or perpetuate these conditions. So we're proposing to create a consistent and easy to understand baseline set of rules for commercial ground floor design, ones that are more responsive in areas with greater pedestrian activity and more relaxed in the city's more auto-oriented corridors. Proposal 13. Auto servicing and repair businesses are typically treated as industrial businesses and located far from retail streets and residential neighborhoods, but some exceptions exist that allow auto repair and storage activities to spill out onto the sidewalk and neighborhood commercial streets, which can create safety concerns for pedestrians. So we're proposing to rationalize and consolidate the range of auto servicing uses in zoning into 2 categories: light and heavy vehicle repair and maintenance. Heavy vehicle maintenance must be licensed by the DMV and would continue to be allowed in industrial areas, while light vehicle repair could locate elsewhere after appealing to the Board of Standards and Appeals. Proposal 14. Right now, zoning doesn't allow for delivery activity within buildings except in industrial areas, which forces that delivery activity to occur on sidewalks and streets. We're proposing a new type of use in zoning called a micro distribution facility and allow these businesses to locate in small scale and commercial areas, which would encourage deliveries to shift to alternative modes of transportation and help regulate the creation of or facilitate the creation of local hubs for safe and sustainable deliveries. Next slide. Our fourth and final goal is to create new opportunities for businesses to open by establishing new zoning tools that can boost job growth and business expansion. Our zoning resolution contains many kinds of tools which can be used to initiate a discretionary process to change an area's underlying regulations, including special permits from the BSA, City Planning Commission authorizations and special permits, and zoning districts. As we're seeking to modernize our city's zoning to support business location and growth, we also need to update our zoning toolkit so businesses can have better access to pathways that can enable their expansion or adaptation. Our last four proposals all create new kinds of discretionary zoning tools for the future economic success of our city. Proposal 15. Many large-scale residential developments, such as NYCHA campuses, are zoned as residence districts, which means that retail services and maker spaces can't easily locate nearby where people are living, and places residents of these developments further away from local goods and services. So this proposal would create a CPC authorization, City Planning Commission authorization, to allow up to 15,000 square feet of commercial space in existing or new construction on large-scale residential campuses, which would give residents greater access to basic necessities or the room to grow their own business. Proposal 16. Some portions of New York City aren't within walking distance of a local retail store like a bodega, and zoning has no pathways to potentially allow a new locally serving business to open. We're creating a discretionary pathway where business could initiate a process to locate a new corner store, provided that the store doesn't generate any environmental concerns or traffic congestion. This proposal is more geared towards our less dense outer boroughs, and the way that Community Board 9 is zoned, it wouldn't have an impact, but just putting it out there for your consideration and for the sake of completeness. Proposal 17. In some instances, businesses lack options for waiving certain non-floor area ratio related zoning rules. So for instance, film studios often struggle to build sound stages because of certain zoning rules like rear yard requirements and setback heights. Or for example, a clothing store might want to expand to occupy an empty second floor, but finds the size limitations or location rules prevent them from doing so. So we're proposing to expand the zoning toolkit so businesses can initiate a process to waive some zoning rules on a case-by-case basis. And finally, proposal 18. In some instances, it's our zoning districts, not discretionary pathways to modify them, that are obsolete. This is particularly true of our city's manufacturing or M district zoning regulations. Currently, low density options, physical design rules, and parking make it impossible to build loft-like buildings, even in areas where they already exist. This proposal would create a range of new job-intensive zoning districts at a range of densities and heights that expand the zoning toolkit for future rezonings. Next slide. So that covers the 4 goals and 18 proposals. Here's a quick timeline of where we're at in the review. Community boards are still reviewing the proposed zoning text amendment, and we'll have until early February to collect public comment and submit a resolution. So thank you so much for your time, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Well, committee members, Do you have any questions or comments?
John Martin Green here. Proposal 14. So the Economic Development and Harlem Piers Committee is looking at hosting a small business conference in the spring. And we are particularly looking to support local vendors and small business entrepreneurship. Yeah, micro distribution. Could you elucidate what this particular goal
Sure.
allows for again?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the question. So this is to cut down on vehicle-based deliveries.
Okay, so
And
that's not the one. Yeah.
yeah, this is sorry, you were saying that this would be a
We're looking at supporting local vendors and who are in community in West Harlem, and also, you know, what is it? Kitchen table businesses, so who are doing business out of their apartments, and who have entrepreneurial interests and goals.
Perhaps
yeah,
proposal 11, home occupations, or
that would be proposal 11 or proposal 3.
yeah.
But the home-based businesses are specifically proposal 11.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what was proposal 3?
Proposal 3 was about small scale production, so allowing like low impact manufacturing businesses in commercial areas.
That would that include vendors?
That would include, I would have to double check on the language in the proposed text, but it would be people who are, I believe that you can both make and sell goods on the premises, but it's specifically geared towards people who are making, like, roasting coffee, baking, you know, making jewelry. And I believe that selling would also be allowed, but I'd have to double check on that.
Okay, if you will, please.
Sure.
Also, might we invite you and or some of your cohorts to come and present at our conference in April?
I think let's exchange contact information. That would definitely be something I'd be interested in. And yeah, I'd be happy to connect on that.
Very good. Thanks so very much.
Thank you.
Audrey, just piggybacking off that, can you explain to the group what the environmental regulations continue to be or will be enhanced perhaps with the possibility of small business owners? For instance, I know coffee well. I work in coffee, and coffee roasting creates such a smell, and it takes a lot of energy, and there are a lot of things that people might not want upstairs from them.
Right.
You know, so what are the regulations currently, or what are the added regulations that might be considered if this proposal, I think I've heard this from a lot of people, is they're concerned about what is being done in their, you know, neighbor's backyard.
Absolutely. So so there's I think 2 threads there. One is you know, if you were a coffee manufacturing business, that would more fall under, I think, proposal 3, the small scale production. And that would be production that would take place in commercial districts, or expanding, you know, that production can take place now in manufacturing districts, and it would expand, you know, certain categories of you know, clean production to commercial districts. But as far as home occupation goes, the proposal, any home business that you would have couldn't create objectionable nuisance. So, you know, any noise, odor, dust, particulate matter, in order to, you know, abide by those rules, one would have to have like a, you know, pretty heavy, you know, industrial level ventilation system, and thus that would be, you know, incompatible with a home use. And so the, you know, the home businesses is more geared towards expanding the amount of square footage in your, or the percentage of space that you can use in your apartment for your business, and the number of employees you can have. So, you know, if you're an architect, you could bring in, let me double check, but I think it's up to 3 outside employees. And you could use up to 49% of your space for that business. Does that answer your question?
That was helpful for me. You, John?
Sorry, let me just chime in on this question of environmental, you know, performance standards. I think generally speaking, in the zoning today, we have custom manufacturing uses already that are permitted in commercial districts, but they're not regulated in that way. So what this is trying to do is to make it clear that we have a new list of custom manufacturing uses that would totally be subject to performance standards and state environmental regulations.
I have a question. Well, I have several questions. Try and put this in so I can see my face myself. Number 5, upper floor commercial. One of the problems that we've tried to solve in our district is when community members complain when some buildings install elevators and the bulkhead is obstructing view of residents and so forth. If upper floors are now being utilized or will be utilized for commercial activities, I see landlords, if they can get more money for their space, there's going to be a likelihood that some of them would install elevators at the request of their customers, which would lead to a reduced quality of life for residents. How would you address that? Although, like I said, I have several questions.
Yeah, I think that was a good question, and thank you for that. I think let me think about this for 1 second. There was the issue with if I understand correctly, the issue is that the people are worried that landlords will pursue, you know, commercial development in lieu of housing, or squeeze out you know, current residents. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, there are several prongs or several possibilities. We know definitely gentrification will come in as a result of this, you know? People with deeper pockets will come into our community, and they will make demands. If they can use upper floors for their commercial activities, I think now you have it's only from 6 stories upwards. If a building has 6 stories upwards, that they're allowed now to put elevator. But with this new zoning, with upper floor being able to be used for commercial, there might be a 5-story building where a client might request the landlord to put in an elevator to facilitate the transport of their materials up to the 5th floor. And they might even be willing to pay for it because they have the money. And that will result in, new bulkheads that, as I said, may obstruct the view of neighbors or may cause one problem or the other.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
that, thank you for clarifying, and I think I might understand a little better. So the zoning envelopes are like the shape and the bulk and the size of the building wouldn't necessarily change, but the uses within the building, the proposal is trying to allow for a little more or much more flexibility in uses. And it could actually be the case that allowing this commercial above the ground floor could in some cases result in could result in more housing, because developers wouldn't have to necessarily choose between building out their allowable floor area ratio for commercial or building the housing units that the current zoning also allows. And also, most of the Community District 9 is in has like C overlay districts along the main avenues, which under ZEO, those would only allow for up to 2 stories of commercial. And so that fifth floor scenario would be in those higher C districts, which there's only a few. Let me double check on this, but I think there's only a few of them in District 9. Is that right, Signy?
I am looking at the map you gave us last time to just specifically look, but
Chris, do you have any comments or additional?
It's mostly along where we would think it would be, along 1 Broadway, Amsterdam. I mean, we have it.
Okay.
But there is residential, along above those, of course. So
yeah, I think I'm now also looking at the map, but the vast majority of the districts are like the lower C districts, the C1 and 2 overlays.
4C6. There's a few. Not a lot, but a few. Yeah. C6 looks to be, there's Manhattanville partially in there, it looks like. Yeah.
Okay, I see John Martin Green's hand. Oh, no, I don't know if that's a legacy hand or that's a new hand.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I guess a better question for me might have been is whether or not any of the updated zoning regulations that you guys are looking at make provisions for local vendors.
Can you say more about that?
So street vendors, we have in the summertime now for several months, we have a market over on 12th Avenue where vendors can ply their wares. Are you guys considering making provisions whereby street vendors are accounted for in any of these zoning regulations, the updating that you're doing?
That is a really good question. And the first time I'm hearing this one, so thank you. I don't have an answer off the top of my head, but I can certainly find out for you, because that's a very good question. Chris, do you have any insight into this?
Yeah, so zoning generally regulates what's within a building or development that's occurring in your community. If you're referring to street vendors, that is a different within a different jurisdiction, a different agency manages that. And I believe, small businesses as well as Department of Transportation, they really regulate the permitting process for street vendors to happen. But if you would, we can double check with our sister agencies to see if there are any proposals or anything on that front. And we can certainly share that information with you.
Where I could see this, John Martin Green, is you know, affecting them is where they prepare their goods, perhaps. If they're preparing goods at home and then taking them to their spots, that could be a way that this impacts them, because this might allow them some more leeway. Do you guys, is that viable? If the small business one would be more accessible for vendors to do their wares? I mean, there's jewelry vendors out there, there's crafts, there's things like that, right? But they'd have to be a legal business, you know, to do that, so.
Yeah.
They have to be licensed.
Right. And
Oh, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
no, you're good.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. We'll look into that, and I will get an answer back to you.
Victor, I see your hand is up.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I want to go back to proposal 11, where they talk about prohibited businesses. Is there somewhere we can look at a list that, you know, is there a list somewhere of these businesses so we know what they're trying to expand, which businesses might be expanding there?
Yeah, I think that oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that there is a list of prohibited business per se. It's just businesses that can, you know, adequately conform to, you know, the noise, odor, and nuisance regulations, that, you know, that would, you know, regulate some of that, you know, home-based activity. And I'm so sorry, I misspoke. Chris just messaged me and said that there is that there is now a prohibitive list of home occupations, but that we're proposing to get rid of that list and have it be based on, you know, what, like, are you occupying a certain size of your home? If is it 49% or less? Is there, you know, a cap on the number of people? And are you, you know, abiding by all laws as far as, you know, DOB and DEP and environmental standards and things like that. So this basically the proposal is to make it, you know, a little like less prescriptive and restrictive in what is or isn't allowed, and go by, you know, based on whether you're following, you know, the existing environmental noise and building laws.
And that's overseen by DEP, you're saying? Or one of the agencies is DEP?
One is DEP, and DOB, I think, would be the main ones.
Okay. If possible, I'd still like to see if we can get a list of those so we have an idea of what was prohibited, you know, originally, just
Sure.
to get a sense of that. And then my second question goes back to proposal 1, as far as zoning and historic districts, since we have some historic areas in CB9, how will that affect the reoccupation of some of the, you know, the stores? Looking at that, that area there.
Yeah, you mean the one on the reoccupation of vacant storefronts?
Right.
Yeah. So this one is this one is kind of has a little twist to it. So there are many storefronts that like they predate the 1961 zoning resolution, and they're not allowed under current zoning. So for example, when I spoke with the land use committee last month, just as a hypothetical, there's a deli at LaSalle Street and Broadway that's in an R8 district, and there's no commercial overlay. So should the deli go out of business and the storefront remain vacant for 2 years, it could not be reoccupied by another business. And so this is proposal 1 would lift those time limits so that, a space could be re-tenanted,
Gotcha.
even if it's non-conforming.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
You mentioned, I think this is, where's the one, the picture with the UPS van. You mentioned that provision will be made for, yes, there we go. Micro distribution facilitates safe and sustainable neighborhood delivery hubs. You mentioned that perhaps a vehicle will not be used, but something else will be used for the delivery of packages. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, these would be like they could be bikes, they could be smaller vehicles. We've spoken to DOT and other like private companies that handle delivery logistics in trying to craft this proposal. And it is to both make the pedestrian experience safer, then also to cut down on, a lot of the like idling and, traffic obstruction and potential safety issues, with and everything that's the sort of negative externalities associated with, individual like deliveries in commercial areas.
Okay, can you explain further to us how much you're going to be working with DOT? Because definitely we have issue of parking right now. With these changes, there's going to be a lot more businesses or business owners that will come from out of our district, as well as clients who will come from out of our district. Have you worked with or discussed with DOT in terms of what parking regulations changes may occur in order to be able to accommodate the additional cost that's going to be coming into our district?
That is a great question. I don't have an answer for you off the top of my head, but I wrote down your question and I will definitely get back to you. I can say for now that we've worked with DOT on, studying the traffic impacts of this particular proposal, but I think that I hear your concern about, the parking and, sort of the changes that might come from this proposal. And I will get back to you with an answer.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Yes, this is Michael Iglesias. I have a question on number 12, which is on streetscape. So my question revolves around biking lanes. Will this new reform in zoning include changes as far as dedicated biking lanes go? So for example, having just a direct bike lane on Broadway would help businesses grow, in part because of having a safe way of being able to commute or visit small businesses. So are bike lanes being introduced at all in this proposal?
Yeah, so bike lanes are generally under the purview of DOT. And so yeah, so that would be as far as like maintaining or building more bike lanes. We coordinate pretty closely with them, but that is mostly in their purview. But I can say that, for the streetscape portion of this, a lot of these streetscape regulations that we have now are either they don't exist in many areas of the city or they're very inconsistently applied. And so this would mostly be for the, you know, the areas around this, like the sidewalks and buildings, although sidewalks are a DOT area as well. Chris, do you have anything to add to that with the
Yeah,
bike
I
lanes?
think you hit the main points here. Under our economic opportunity proposal, we're trying to make sense of all of these, you know, streetscape rules, which when I say streetscape, I mean, how does, you know, the building's ground floor or facade interact with the sidewalk? Today, in a lot of this, you know, in most portions of the city, we don't have rules that regulate streetscape regulations, or the streetscape of the buildings. So we're creating a new classification system where, you know, depending on whether you're close to highways or you're in a transit-oriented area, we're going to require that, you know, you have X amount of transparency on your wall, on your building wall. If you have any kind of blank walls, that you treat those blank walls, whether it's through murals or, you know, stuff like that. And if you're on like major commercial corridors, we would require specific uses that would foster, you know, a more vibrant type of pedestrian environment. So those are the types of things that we're talking about when it comes to streetscape rules. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Does anyone have any more questions?
I have a brief question. Thanks for the presentation. I was wondering regarding, I think, proposition, or whichever proposals about life sciences, so I guess, Prop 8. What will the impacts of that likely be on the Columbia Manhattanville campus and on the life sciences district near 125th? Like, is that relevant to either of those locations?
That is a good question. I know that there's a specific, like, I'm forgetting it's a commercial district that's specifically life sciences designated. That's a small block near the university. Is that the one that you're talking about?
There's the one by like Amsterdam and 126 where there's like the Tasty building and stuff like that coming up. They don't think it's some special district. And then I guess separately, there's also the new Columbia campus special zoning district a few blocks over, which I assume will have life sciences labs, even if it's not industrial.
As far as the specific impacts on the like Columbia or Columbia adjacent life sciences industries, I am not sure. That's a very good question, and I will find out for you.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions?
No, but I can make a quick comment if we're closing out.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Sydney.
Yep. So everyone, as you can see, this is quite vast. There's a lot of propositions. I would encourage you, please take your economic development, small business owner, you know, this hat, and think about some of these propositions, and fill out the online feedback form, go to the hearing, make your voice heard. Audrey and Christopher, I have a question in a general broad sense. So I know you guys have been working on this a long time, and we're given only 60 days. So when this vote comes to vote, we'll be giving our comments, our feedback individually for each of these proposals. Is it going to be a one and all thing, like vote it, you know, if it's passed, it's everything, or is there going to be the opportunity to maybe take some and reimagine some others? Because, you know, we've only had a very short time we feel as the community, we've expressed this, and I know others have as well, other community boards, that this is a very short time to process all this. So just wondering, you know, what that process might be.
Yeah. So we also, you know, acknowledge that the, you know, just the way that the timing of the referral worked out happened to happen over the holidays. And, you know, we realize lots of people are on break and out of town. And, you know, we realize that that puts, you know, that makes it much harder to come together and discuss this proposal. We've extended the, you know, the timeline for submitting the, for submitting a resolution. So, you know, I think, I forget exactly the date that I named in my email, but it's safe to say by the end of January. So that gives, you know, an additional 3 weeks, but I totally hear you and feel you on the time crunch on this. And that said, there will definitely be an opportunity to, if you wholeheartedly endorse some of them, but are against other proposals or have, you know, qualified, you know, yeses or qualified nos, you know, however, basically, we would encourage you to submit, you know, a resolution that best reflects your, you know, concerns and, you know, and opportunities within the amendment. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, more or less. I'm wondering when
Yeah.
it comes. So the next step there's, you know, we're doing this public review. CPC has a hearing on the January 24th, I believe. Correct. And then I saw a new email today, Audrey. Sorry. There was some dates mentioned in an email that I got from our district manager today. January 24th, CPC is having a public hearing, I believe. And then sometime mid-February, like, would be where our deadline for final comments, I guess. But yeah, just, and so after that it would, you know, go to city council, obviously, after city planning goes through it and votes. So the city planning vote would be, you know, probably, is that mid-February? Is that what we're talking?
Yeah, so I think the let me double check the dates, because I think the review session was either, I don't think that they've scheduled it yet, but it was either the 5th of February or the 20th of February, one of those dates. We're accepting community board resolutions after the public hearing. And I believe up until the vote. But I will double check on those timelines for you. And Chris says that I think that the March would be the tentative date for the.
That is,
CPC
yeah,
vote.
we're looking at March for City Planning Commission vote. That is the tentative time.
And then after that, it goes to city council, guys. And
That's right.
the city council members vote on this.
Mhm.
But again, is it like, is there a chance that CPC could say, we like these, but not these? We're going to vote for these, but not these. And then it goes on with you know, they adjust as they go. It's not just like as is. We can, they might adjust as they go.
We would encourage you to submit all the recommendations to us before CPC vote. We can double check to see if there is, you know, if there are other channels for you to provide more comments beyond the City Planning Commission vote, but it typically.
Sorry, that wasn't what I was saying. But that's okay.
I'm so sorry.
No worries, no worries. I understand. I'm good. I'm clear.
Well,
Okay.
along these lines, one final question, please, if I may. It might be helpful towards the possibility of our, if not coming up with resolutions, at least having some intelligent questions. If we could get a copy of the economic opportunity portion of the, you know, City Planning Commission's City of Hope proposals.
Yeah, I can drop in our chat the link. The city has sort of like a splash page for these, and I'll also drop a link to the annotated zoning text. And then I believe I sent it to Signe and Joyce, a presentation, like the longer version of this presentation, which has
Send that to the John Martin, check your email too. I hope everybody received that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay, thank you so much. We will continue to deliberate on this document and work with Sydney and get our feedbacks to you.
Thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for
Have
the
a
work.
great
that you
night.
do. Okay, have a great night. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
All right. Okay. So, if I can just pull up my agenda. Next on the agenda is a presentation. Great. From Custom Collaborative.
Wonderful, thank you. Amelia Lewis with Custom Collaborative. And I do have a slide presentation. I can try to share my screen, or what do you think would be the best way? Or I can just do a verbal presentation.
No, you can go ahead and try to
Okay.
share it. Mhm.
Let me give you host privileges. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. Oh,
So can you see my screen?
yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
hold on, give me 1 second. Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for your wonderful grant and the opportunity to present this evening. So, give me one moment. I'm sorry, for some reason it's not allowing me to move forward. So let me try to share again. I may have to do it in this format. It wouldn't be a Zoom call if we didn't have technological difficulties, would it?
Mhm.
Okay, all right. So we are Custom Collaborative. I'll give a brief background and then move into the grant opportunity and what we've been doing. So our vision at Custom Collaborative, we envision a world in which all women possess the skills, confidence, and agency to design their futures and contribute to a sustainable world regardless of race, ethnicity, or background. Custom Collaborative mentors and advocates for and with no and low income and immigrant women to build the skills necessary to achieve economic success in the sustainable fashion industry and broader society. So our community need for 2023 CBG project addresses is that women from low income and immigrant communities face structural barriers to economic success, including limited access to living wage work and career investment opportunities, very limited access to financial resources, housing insecurity, which are compounded by feeling isolated in their struggles. Custom Collaborative advances entrepreneurial economic growth as well as workforce development for no and low income and immigrant women in District 9 and the greater New York metro area by creating an entry point and investment opportunities for careers in the fashion industry. There are many talented artisans in District 9 and others interested in learning new skills and want to succeed in potential retail and maker entrepreneurship opportunities. And our project is aimed to support these artisans through our training institute, business incubator, and workshops. So our strategy is economic development through, it's economic development through fashion and entrepreneurship training. Our strategy is to provide a well-rounded education via our training institute, continue development and mentorship through our business incubator, and facilitate job placement with industry partners. The image to the left is Christina. She's one of our cohort graduates. Our cohort is a 15-week program where we're teaching women garment making, pattern design, sewing, alterations, as well as business fundamentals, resume workshops, and also internship and apprentice opportunities when they graduate. Christina graduated from cohort 6. She is now our alumni coordinator at Custom Collaborative and also has opportunities with other job placements within the industry. And the jacket that is there is an item that she upcycled and was able to sell. She was able to find it at a thrift shop or a local Goodwill, upcycled it, and was able to sell it for $500 to $600 to a buyer. So our education supports financial literacy, allowing our constituents to the ability to manage day-to-day and long-term financial decisions. At this point in the grant period, Custom Collaborative has completed one cycle of our Training Institute program at Riverside Church in District 9. The cohort graduates have since participated in workshops.
Sorry.
That's okay. Attended panels. Is that me or, oh, attended panels and are pursuing employment opportunities. With the start of the new year, we're happy to share that Custom Collaborative has started a second cycle of our Training Institute, and 6 members of this cohort are residents of District 9 who are participating in our 15-week Training Institute program. During the remainder of the grant period, through our business incubator, Custom Collaborative will hold a series of 3 workshops in District 9 titled The Business of Fashion. And I'm going to turn this next section over to my colleague, Veronica Jones, to talk more about these really wonderful workshops. And Veronica, I'll do the slides while you're talking, and we'll go from there. So thank you. Oh, you're on mute, Veronica.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Great. Good evening, everyone. I would like to discuss the possible workshops that we would like to present. Careers in the Business of Fashion. This is a workshop that will provide an overview of the multiple pathways for a career in the business of fashion. We feel it's important for women to understand that fashion is a multifaceted business and not limited to design. Through this workshop, women in District 9 will gain an expanded knowledge of their economic opportunities. This workshop will be led by Lauren Domio, Success Manager, and myself. I'm the Entrepreneurship Consultant to Custom Collaborative. We would also like to present the business of upcycling and sustainability. That is a very contemporary new business that women are expanding their economic development in. This workshop will help women in District 9 learn how to source, create, and sell recycled products to a new style through techniques such as mending, alterations. Upcycling is an opportunity for low-income women to start a micro business by creating new products, substantial income. This workshop will be co-led by
She's breaking it.
Okay, Veronica.
Christina Santu was in the book that Amelia mentioned earlier. And marketing your business. This workshop will unlock the power of branding and marketing for your business. In today's competitive market, a strong brand is crucial for standing out and connecting with your target audience and for jumpstarting a business. This workshop will provide valuable insights and practical strategies to market your brand presence. The workshop would be led by Janice Parker. To support the attendance of women from District 9, Custom Collaborative plans to work with local organizations and individuals, such as Harlem Fashion Week, Princess Jenkins of the Brownstone, and advertise our workshop series. We plan to work with the Harlem News, and through social media, we will also be present. We plan to host this Business of Fashion workshops series at Riverside Church.
Thank you.
And I thank you.
Thank you. In addition, we hope that WHTC can provide additional contacts or community outlets to help us market the event throughout District 9. And in closing, we're extremely thankful and grateful for the West Harlem Economic Development and Harlem Piers Committee for their continued support of Custom Collaborative and also for the continued support of Ambitious Women. These are some statistics from our program, and pictured is Anna G at our runway, which is also our graduation. So at the end of every cohort, the women in the class will put together a one-of-a-kind garment for one of their classmates, and graduation is also a runway show, and this is one of Anna's designs, and she now operates from her home studio. Enjoys a substantial income and such demand that she's had to reluctantly turn down opportunities in her community. And 100% of Training Institute graduates increase their financial literacy. 83% of Training Institute graduates start their own business. And 31% of our Training Institute graduates sought continued education. And we are extremely grateful for your support. Are there any questions? Are we on mute? No.
Hi.
Hi.
Some people have questions. Yes. Do you want to ask?
Yeah, ma'am, at the very beginning, I think in one of your very first panel, you used an acronym, but I didn't understand what the acronym meant or what it referred to. There wasn't really CBG project or something, or what does that stand for? It didn't say this on the Custom Collaborative. What was that about?
Custom Collaborative is the nonprofit that we're with.
Right, yes, I understand that, but when you started off, your very first panel up at the top, it said something about CBG or up in caps, like it was an acronym, something, and it went past me.
Yeah, that's what we had titled for the grant application.
CBG meaning what?
I'm actually not for sure. The grant was submitted prior to my joining Custom Collaborative. I joined 4 months ago.
Oh, I see. Okay, so this is a grant you submitted to West Harlem Development Corporation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so it was granted.
Yes, it was granted.
Okay, so and you said something about, you made a number of references at this point in our grant cycle. Explain your timeline. What do you mean? Because you said a couple of times at this point in our grant. How does this? What is your fiscal year like? Or what is your grant cycle? What do you mean by that?
So the grant that we received was received last year, and the grant ends in June of this year. So we're halfway through the grant funding that was provided to us. And yeah.
Okay, so how many women did you take in your course, your training course?
15 women are in our Training Institute cohort that graduated from the program. And then we're currently starting our next cohort next week with another 15 women. And then we're going to be offering 3 workshops that will be offered from now until June in the different areas that I presented. at Riverside Church, and the fashion workshops were the ones that Veronica presented that we would like to highlight.
Okay, well, how do you recruit these women? How do you find these people and get them to apply? How do you find them?
Sure. So we have a lot of community networks through other nonprofits, and we have about 130 partners. So we're reaching out to them through flyers. We're also do a lot of on-the-ground canvassing as well in our local communities. And Veronica, maybe you can talk of some of the ways that participants have found us and heard about the work that we do.
Yes, we've actually worked with shelters, the shelter system. We've worked with various churches and different organizations. And we've been so successful with some women who have been victims of domestic violence and living in shelters, and they have graduated from that and now have employment and are able to raise their children and provide a much better life than they had in the beginning. The fashion industry is attractive to so many people, but they don't realize the depth of what it takes to make that a business. And it's one of the most job opportunities, one of the industries that has quite a vast amount of job opportunities.
I had a few questions that Chris asked already, was about the eligibility of the participant and also where you were recruiting. So you answered already, but what is the eligibility to be part of your, yes, of your organization, of those,
To be one of the trainees. to be one of
yes.
the hard
And
working
then
young-
what are the dates for the workshop? Date, place, and time.
So we are the eligibility, it's open to women. So we have a recruitment process where we offer opportunities for women who are interested in hear about the program to come to Custom Collaborative and to learn more about the program and see if it's a good fit. There's a short application that they submit, an interview process, and then they're selected to be a part of the cohort. So the eligibility is open to all women of all ages. And as far as the workshop dates, we're in the process of getting those dates completed and also figuring out what those dates will be. So we don't have concrete dates yet. We're in the planning process of it.
My other question will be, you are functioning on grant. So since when you've been having this program?
The program started, actually, I started with them as a business class instructor in October of 2016. And we were located at Riverside Church.
And that's where you're still working out of, right?
Yes.
Okay, and the program, you said it was a 12-week program? 12 weeks? Is that right?
I think it's now elevated to 15 weeks.
Oh.
It initially was 12 weeks.
Okay, and that's every day for 15 weeks?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And we also provide a stipend for the women who participate in the program.
I understand. All right. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Sounds
Sorry,
like a
I was
great program.
having okay. Have you done any collaboration with Harlem? Sorry, So Harlem?
No, we haven't. We have not.
Okay.
Her business has changed from what it initially was, I think, So Harlem. But they are very similar, but different. I think she primarily works with people who already have businesses and are, or who have been in the fashion industry in the past.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for your presentation. I don't know if anyone else has any questions.
Looks like a wonderful program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I do have a question. When we solidify our dates for the workshops, what would be the best way for me to share those with your team? And also, and if you have any other outlets for us to share what we're doing in District 9, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, if you send all the information to the community board,
Okay.
Madison is there, she's listening, and then she'll be able to send it to all of us.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
I'll drop my info in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay. All right. And they can also disseminate the information for you as well.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. And we'll
You're
create,
welcome.
I'll send the dates and we'll create a flyer that will be easy for everyone to distribute as well.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Great
you.
presentation.
Thank you. I'm gonna write down Madison's email and then I'll hop off.
Okay. All right.
Thank you again for supporting us.
You're very
Thank
welcome and
you.
all the
Great to meet
best.
all of you.
So nice to
Nice to
meet
meet you as well.
you. Okay, thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Okay.
Year.
Happy New Year to you too. So our next presenter is React. And before we do that, I have to apologize. I'm on my phone. I'm on the field. My laptop has lost power, so I'm now on my cell phone. I hope that will last for some time. If I have to go off, I'm just going to ask someone else to do the operations. But I hope we can finish this meeting before my phone dies. All right. So next presenter is React. Are they here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Very good.
Hey, thank you for your time. May I have access to screen share as well?
Think you should have it. Madison, help me out. I'm on my
Oh, I got it.
phone. And, okay.
Just one moment.
Yeah, I just made you a co-host here.
Great, thank you. Can everyone see?
Yes.
Great. So my name is Jazz Hooks. I'm a workforce development coordinator here at WeAct, and just here to give a small presentation about the work that we've been doing for the community. So these are some of our goals and accomplishments. We've trained over 2,000 clients through the beginning of our worker training program. Our director, Charles, has been doing work, especially training people in OSHA for many years before I came along. Place 483 clients, develop an employer network of 50 employers. Is one of our big goals. House a training and resource center is something that we're working towards. Create innovative strategies and curriculum, and build a repository of information experience. We always want to hear about the people who have been part of our program and what their experience has been like, both during training and once they go out onto the job market. Here's some of the policy and advocacy work that we have been or are involved with, such as Uncommon Dialogue for Solar, Community Solar Opt-out for disadvantaged households, and trying to remove barriers to employment, such as driver's license requirements. That's a very big one that we run into often, especially in the green energy space. Opportunities and placement. We seek employment opportunities that provide a living wage. New York City is very expensive. We want to make sure that our clients and people who do our trainings can afford to live here, maintain rubrics and metrics to evaluate participants and employers impartially, facilitate connections between the community, employees, and employers. Our main areas of focus are solar, direct installation, sales, building assessment, and engineering. We actually just finished up a solar installation course in December. in collaboration with Solar One. Everyone who attended the training always loves that one. They get to spend the first week building a mock house, and then the second week they put a mock solar installation on. So they learn about wiring, how to put the panels in, how to do a basic install. Building performance, one of our big projects from this past year was our building electrification program, where people learned about the basics of energy audits, HVAC systems, and air source heat pumps. We also are going to be referring people soon to one of our partners' trainings on air source heat pumps. Offshore wind, supply chain, onshore connections, and smart electrical, such as EV charging, electrical conduits, and smart panels. Our client experience is we have people enter through referrals and recruitment. They sign up on our centralized form to minimize paperwork, receive personal session before being trained or placed. Support services offered such as childcare, income supplements, and transportation is something that we strive for. Not all the way there yet, but continuing to work for it, and we try to meet people where we can. Opportunities to give feedback, network with other participants, and institutionalize their lived experience. This is our flow chart that just teaches you a little bit about what we do at the We Act Green Institute / Workforce Development Department. We want to train and connect New York City residents to good paying jobs and the green economy, support and nurture knowledge for a better life so that they can gain new skills, learn about new opportunities, feel supported and prepared, plan their careers, train in the various areas that we work in, obtain employment, envision their role in greening their own communities. We want to make sure that our communities, disadvantaged communities such as Upper Manhattan, are at the forefront of where these decisions are happening, and they're also getting some of the business opportunities that are popping up with things such as the IRA Inflation Reduction Act that passed through the Biden administration. Become green ambassadors. We want to make sure that they share their resources and knowledge so that people coming into the program can benefit from their experience. If someone has a connection with an employer, we want to make sure that we talk to them about their employer, try to hear about it, and see if they can help get someone else that we trained the job. Become connected with others in New York City and find pathways to move forward, gain knowledge and skills. So our communities gain employment and become energy efficient. And yeah, that's just a little bit about our program. I am happy to take on any questions that you have.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you for all the work that REACT does. Does anyone have any questions? I'm on my cell, so I can't see if there's any hand up. So if anyone has just any questions, just jump right in, please. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your presentation.
Wait, we did have someone, I saw someone with their hand raised
Okay.
in the
Okay,
red.
so please speak because as I said, I'm on my cell phone. I'm not able to see any hands as of.
You were muted, but yes, I had a couple quick questions. One, this is more of a clarification. So like, this is like a subset of what WeAct does, right? So this is like a grant specifically for this Green Institute, but then there are other branches of WeAct that do other things and have other funding sources. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Specifically, we work in the workforce development. I work in the workforce development department. We also have policy, civic engagement. We have recent stuff with the Tic Tac. So we're involved, our federal policy office in DC. So we're involved in many areas. This is one small but important part of the larger WeAct services.
Great. So then I guess the other question I wanted to ask is like, I think it's, really exciting you're targeting a lot of the types of jobs that are being directly financially incentivized by the Inflation Reduction Act. And I guess one question I had was like, are there federal funding opportunities for like this type of job training work in addition to like the community level grants too? It's more out of curiosity than anything. I think
Yes, we've been looking into federal grants. We saw something recently from Department of Energy. The main there are different funding sources depending on the federal department. So short answer is yes. Longer answer is it depends on what kind of training you're doing, and different grants have different requirements, such as if you're both the training provider or you're referring it to another agency, you might not qualify for some grants, but yes to others. So we don't do as much direct training, but we recruit people from disadvantaged communities and help connect them with the training.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, I was wondering about, so you say you don't do direct training?
Yeah, we are more of the recruitment thing. The things that we train on, like we do services such as we do the interviewing, and we do things such as helping people with their career services. So after someone receives a training, we'll help them with their resume, cover letter, looking out for jobs to apply to, things of that nature, giving them recommendations for follow-up trainings to pursue their career goals if those are necessary. But yeah, it's usually partner organizations. For example, as I mentioned earlier, the installation training that we completed, we partnered with Solar One for that. And Solar One is the trading provider. We recruited all the people. Solar One provided the training.
Okay, so for things like the smart electric, you do mostly do referrals?
Yeah, we have partner organizations that do the training for things such as that.
And most of the training is stipended?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
And most of the training is stipend bearing?
No, not at this time. So yeah, the stipends are kind of grant dependent. We don't have any currently, but we are looking into for our future grants getting that because, you know, especially with people in disadvantaged communities, it's very important for them to have economic viability while they're going through these trainings, because sometimes people are missing out on job opportunities, even if it's just an odd job, for the duration of a training. So we would like to be able to offer people stipends going forward, but we do not currently have that ability with our current grants. But it's something that we're striving for with all the future ones. Anything that can help make sure that people are able to put their best foot forward in the training and focus on learning and then getting a job and not have to be as stressed about money while they're in the training.
Gotcha, thanks. And last question from me, how do you attract participants into the various trainings?
Yes, that's a great question. So we use a variety of sources. We do community outreach, such as we put up flyers for the recent solar class that we had within the West Harlem community, like the zip codes that we're in, for example, we had a couple people join the class from that. They said we saw the flyer outside of our building. We have a significant email list because, as I mentioned, my director has been doing this training for a long time. There's also word of mouth. Some people get their OSHA training for free. And OSHA, if not sure if y'all know, but our trainings are offered for free, but an OSHA training generally would cost, OSHA and SST would cost about $500. So people are like, hey, you know, you got to get on this. It's an opportunity to get a training that would cost you $500 for free. And there's a lot of word of mouth. Sometimes people just Google it and you show up and they'll show up into our office. So all kinds of areas. We're always getting people who come in almost every day asking about training and getting job help. We also get referrals from other organizations such as Grant Associates, Henry Street, things of that nature.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your presentation. And does anyone else have any questions for him? Okay. All right. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we're moving on.
All right. Thank you for your time, everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year to you too. Okay. Can someone help me? What is the next thing on the agenda? I'm not able to see that.
Committee reports.
Yes, subcommittee reports.
Okay, committee reports. Does anyone have any reports for their subcommittees?
Um, mm, 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 mm. Let's see.
Strategic planning. Any report? Small businesses, any report? Okay. Does anyone have any reports before we move on?
Well, with respect to events planning, I crafted a potential program for our proposed conference, a small business conference. But I can, share that. I guess I can email that to you for committee members' edification and comment.
Okay, thank you so much, John Martin. We'll definitely look at that and then give you our comments. I'm sure it's extensive. You always do great work. Okay. So in the absence of any subcommittee reports, what's the next on the agenda, please?
Whole business.
Old business, okay. We have two things that are old business. Our business conference is coming up. So if we just go down the line, anyone has anything to report based on their area in preparing for this business conference?
Well, I just said that I crafted, a perspective
Yes.
program. That's as much as I have done up to this.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. I just want to survey everyone and see if anybody has done anything in their work, to see if there's any time. Has anybody else done anything in their area in preparation for?
Yes, for the old business, for the small business matters, I've been looking for panelists who would be able to talk during our event. But since I did not attend the last meeting, I would have loved to know about the rollout of the event, how it's going to be structured, so that I have a vivid idea what type of panelists really they will need. Because right now is someone who has a business. He has, in fact, 5 businesses, and he spoke at our general meeting, the Jima Juice, and I met with him last week. I'm gonna meet with him this Friday, and I wanted to know if that's the type of panelists we are interested to interact with our constituents. So I have him, and I also called the West Harlem Chamber of Commerce to look at, to ventilate about the members, to see who could be of a good fit. So I also spoke with someone over there, and he has to return my call. So this is how far I am. So back to you, Mrs. Co-Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. If you take a look at the minutes that Clayton wrote, it might give you a little bit of perspective on what we discussed last time, but then you can also give me a call. I just don't want to hold people up, but you can also give me a call and we can discuss. Okay? If you have any more questions. If you can also submit the names of the people that you have spoken to or that you have in mind and a description to the members, you can submit it and we'll be able to discuss. Okay, it's the same way that John Martin is sharing his work with the committee. So we can all discuss it. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Also along these lines, perhaps if we should be operating and planning, we should have a budget in planning an event, of course. So that gives us some sense of the kinds of resources that we can be amassing towards, configuring whatever it is we're going to be sharing with the community. Also, we need to know whether or not where we are with respect to reserving the space. We talked about the forum as a potential venue, I think is where we landed. Yeah. So those are a couple of things that occur to me. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know if Miss Dunn can give us an update. She's the one that's dealing with the space, as well as I think refreshments. But you've made a very, very important point, which is that we do need to put together a budget. I know all the items that we require and the amount of money, of course. I did ask the community board, I asked Uther, how much would we be able to get from the board? And she said something to the tune of 1,500. So if we need to fundraise or ask other people to assist, and the budget will help us so that we'll know how much money we actually need to be able to pull this off.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So,
with respect to Mr. Sanford's minutes, I'm not sure what event branding is or how that might be different from marketing and keynote organization. Does that mean that I'm supposed to be doing what Clotilde is doing, trying to attract keynoters, potential or prospective keynoters? I thought I was doing the program coordination.
Correct. You were doing the program coordination.
Okay.
Coming up with titles for the presenters to speak on. That we thought that you would, with your wonderful command of the English language, you would help. You do great in putting together the program, while Caulfield and the rest of them, they look for presenters and panelists. Okay. Does that help? Does that make sense?
Okay.
If there's any language that Clayton used, maybe Clayton can in his minutes, maybe he can elaborate. Clayton?
What I meant when I said branding was like the implementation of the theme and how that is, how like the theme would be expressed in the keynotes and how we organize things. So I think I basically did mean the program. I think
okay. Gotcha.
The brand name, how we want to look like in terms of the theme, the color, the theme really.
Well, no, I'm not doing that. I'll do what Clayton said. I'll come up with themes. What happened at the program?
Somebody designing a logo.
The flag, the logo for that.
Who's doing the desktop publishing? I'm not, this one's the desktop publishing. So you're maybe for something like that.
My question is also because the event is in April. So if we meet once a month, it's not sufficient to come up with a good planning.
You're
So
absolutely right.
really set on a side meeting where we have our agenda and then we have our job description, then we move on because January is over. Then we have February, March, two meetings. I don't think it's sufficient to come up with a very good program.
I agree, Clotilde, in which case we need a subcommittee to plan the conference. You want to, who wants to join me on the subcommittee?
Actually, we do have a, actually, we have a subcommittee. Everyone is supposed to be doing their different works that will lead towards the success of the, yes, everyone is doing different aspects. But I do agree that, and this was one thing I wanted to talk about today as well, that meeting just once a month is not sufficient to planning this. I wanted to know when everyone will be available, what you think about it. I'm glad she brought it up. What do you think about this? And when, what other day can we add? Or what is the other frequency of meeting can we add to what we have already to ensure that we have a successful event?
Well, I would think at least weekly.
Mm-hmm.
And I am, well, I have doctor's appointments, but I have flexibility over the next couple of weeks. So, you know, what works for other people, I, you know, should be able to coordinate with.
Okay. What do you all think about weekly? It'll give us opportunity to really dive in and do more work. What do you all think?
I agree. As for me, weekly, but I mean with a time frame, we have, it's not like a 2 hours. I think a good agenda, 1 hour weekly, okay.
Makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm. And which day would you all like to reserve?
Can you, I'm not good in IT, but if you send a pool and everybody, those type of questions, you send a pool, we just click what we want and then you tally it and we will know which day is convenient because I'm pretty sure a lot of us has other program and other things and then out of my head like this, you know, I may say yes and then I go home and I look and it doesn't fit. So maybe the pooling will be better.
If we're gonna have this in April, do we need to reserve the room now? We need to get this dedicated space now, if it's gonna be.
Judging from the challenges we've navigated with WHDC's accessing in-kind space from Columbia, if in fact we are still agreed that we want to use a Columbia venue for the conference, yeah, now would be the time we should start attempting to access the space.
Okay, so we need to pick a date in April then, don't we need to?
We already did. We said April 27th.
That's right. Okay, I forgot. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So Ms. Dunn was supposed to be working on the space. So
it's Saturday, April 27th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's what we have so far. So you want us to do a doodle survey to try to find out the days and time that's convenient for everyone then? Yeah.
I can send that out with my meeting minutes.
Sorry, Clayton, you said it?
Oh, I can send that out with my meeting minutes. A poll.
You can send it out, Clayton? You can do that? Thank you so much, Clayton.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Stanford.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I have to say personally, I'm not sure I can do weekly meetings because I'm defending my thesis in April and have a lot. I can do my best and try to make it when I can, but I don't know if I can be there every week.
That's okay. You do so much
Yeah.
already.
All right, yes.
Indeed,
We could
I
forgive you.
agree.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, thank you. Um, and it is fine if, you know, we can't make it every week, as long as you just submit what you've been able to do, we can discuss it and move along, you know. I know it's not easy. Okay, so, we have, 3 collaterals we'll be expecting to work on. That's, from Giovanni Quinn. We'll have the doodle by Clayton, and then Clotilde will also submit the names of the people that she has identified so far for us to take a look at, and what roles she feels that they could play. Yeah. Okay. So me, I was working on promotion. I haven't worked on that yet because I need materials. I need to know the location to do the flyer. And we have the date, we have the time, but I need location to do that. But in a couple of weeks, maybe in like a week or two, I can send a mock in 2 weeks. Just send a mock flyer for everyone to look at and discuss the color scheme and, you know, location of whatever is going to be on the flyer. Okay.
Where we left off with respect to the venue was we were talking about the forum, perhaps the foyer at the forum.
Mm-hmm. Well, we needed to take a look at it and make sure that it has the breakout rooms.
I remember asking that.
I don't know, you know, what the forum has, but we needed some breakout rooms.
Okay, my question, if I can interject, for the forum, didn't in our CBA with Columbia University, they have provide us with some space? Is it not an agreement for them to provide yearly with certain number of square feet?
Well, no, it's not. The in-kind space provision doesn't make any mention of square footage. The in-kind space provision is that among the in-kind benefits that under the CBA that Columbia is committed to to West Harlem for is the provision of facilities, you know, Columbia facilities for community projects. And it is the West Harlem Development Corp that presides over the in-kind space acquisition. They have a system that has proven gnarly, around which Ziad has complained bitterly over the years about actually, you know, they're actually providing any space. So for instance, the Same Gender Loving LGBTQ task force in November, for the first time, after some years of applying for space, we actually got a venue. And again, it was the foyer at the forum for a film screening, a community engagement event. But that took a lot of wrangling and finagling, including our reaching out to Council Member Abreu for support to access the space.
Well, all the more reason for us to get a commitment then sooner rather than later, right? Because, right? Yeah. Can't wait till the last minute to ask them for space.
Okay. All right, so moving right along, our next step will be determined by when we're able to figure out the additional days for our meetings. So please continue to do the work that you're doing towards the actualization of this conference, please. So that next time we'll have more information from each other to discuss, deliberate on, and move forward. Okay.
Guys, is the flyer that we do, is it gonna have a scan on it? How are people gonna? Don't you want people
Okay,
to
so
register in advance? Yeah.
regarding all that, as I said, I will do a mock so that we can actually have something to look at and then talk about it. Okay? So I'll do a mock. As I said, I was doing working on the promotion. And with that, suggestions will come in and then we'll make it better. So that should be ready as quickly as possible. Okay, I'll probably see if we can, I can get somebody to start working on it as from tomorrow. We'll see. Do the best that we can. All right. But your suggestion is taking. We will have a QR code on it. Also a registration, which will be going to the community board. But we'll discuss all that when we actually have something in place. Okay, so in the interest of time, please, we have the next discussion, which is, sorry?
New business.
Sorry,
What?
I think we're first gonna chat about the comptroller letter. So I guess, mind if I introduce it?
Yes, you should, Clayton.
Okay, so I think we've discussed a bit over the last few meetings, the concerns about the budget or about the funding allocated through the Columbia Community Benefits Agreement for the benefit of the West Harlem Piers, and how the committee and the community board at large have been concerned that the Parks Department has been misappropriating that funds and perhaps spending it on other places, or perhaps spending it on personnel, and those personnel work primarily at other places than the West Harlem Piers Park. Like, essentially the concern has been that, we're promised, something like $700,000 a year for that park, and people have the impression that we're not getting $700,000 worth of benefit out of it, and that there are like clear needs that the community board and the city has enumerated for that space, including the rehabilitation of the boat launch site and the marine transfer station that have been unaddressed. So there's previously been some correspondence between the city or between the board and the Parks Department, and we've gotten this sort of partial, kind of insufficient accounting of funds from Parks. And one proposal that we've had and discussed is to send a letter to the comptroller asking for a more formal audit of the community benefits agreement funds earmarked for the West Harlem Piers Park, so that we can understand how they're being spent and how they'll continue to be spent in the future. So towards that end, with John Martin Green, we worked on a letter that asks that I think I would like to share with the committee for feedback. And then I think if it seems like something we want to pass along, then I think we'd probably loop in Victor and some of the other members of the community board to make this a formal request, I believe. So I shared it via email. I also just pasted the link in the chat. I don't know how, Joyce, how you want to do this now, whether we should discuss it or what. I noticed Clotilde emailed me some comments and suggestions I really, really appreciate. So do you have anything else to add, John Martin?
I think it's an excellent letter. I'll be happy to look at Clotilde's recommendations by all means, but yeah, I think it's an excellent letter. And should we just read it?
Okay, let's read it.
Oh, let's see. Where is it, Mr. Sanford?
I just put it in the Zoom chat.
Okay, great. Okay, it reads, subject request for accounting of funds allocated to West Harlem Piers by New York City Parks Department. Dear Comptroller Lander, I'm writing to you on behalf of the Economic Development West Harlem Piers Committee of Manhattan Community Board 9 representing West Harlem. Our board is committed to ensuring the responsible and transparent use of public funds, especially in projects that directly affect our neighbors. We're particularly interested in the assistance of your office in obtaining an accurate accounting of the expenditures of the New York City Department of Parks using the funding allocated for the West Harlem Piers Park under the terms of the 2009 West Harlem Community Benefits Agreement with Columbia University. According to the Land Use Improvement and Civic Project General Project Plan, Section N1E 2008, Columbia has agreed to provide the city's Department of Parks and Recreation funds for staff and enhanced services for the West Harlem Piers Park, which payments commenced in 2008 and shall extend 24 years thereafter. Such funds shall be in the initial amount, annual amount, that is, of $500,000, escalating at 3% annually. While the funding includes several personnel lines dedicated to the West Harlem Piers Park and supports free public programs in the park, members of Community Board 9 have expressed concern that key issues that could be remedied with the funding are unaddressed. Community Board 9 has identified multiple unfulfilled needs in the West Harlem Piers Park, several of which are described in the Reach 4 and 5 goals identified in the City and the Vision 2020 New York City Comprehensive Waterfront Plan, which the funding could address. 1, bike and pedestrian path infrastructure improvements to increase safety at the entrance and exit of West Side Highway. 2, permanent public toilets. Porta potties have been made available to park visitors after the closure of Fairway Market left visitors without a public restroom. 3, public access to the shoreline as described in Section O of the General Project Plan. 4, rehabilitation of and public access to the Marine Transfer Station at West 135th Street. And 5, restoration of the boat launch at West 125th Street. In the past year, members of Community Board 9 raised questions about whether the funding allocated to the parks by Community Benefits Agreement have indeed been spent on projects that benefit the West Harlem Piers Park. On March 12th of 2023, Community Board 9 formally requested a precise accounting of all expenditures earmarked by the CBA for the West Harlem Piers Park. In response, Steve Simon of the Parks sent an estimate of the operating budget for the funds for the fiscal year 23. His report allocates the entirety of the $734,267 disbursed for the fiscal year to 9 full-time hiring lines, as well as a seasonal hiring line. Because the budget was presented as an estimate and because no context was provided regarding the roles and responsibilities for each hiring line, Community Board 9 Economic Development Committee members expressed concern over the veracity of the report. Further requests to the Parks Department for an exact accounting received no response. Following the report from Parks, John Harold of Riverside Parks Conservancy sent Community Board 9 a report detailing the interpretation of the operating budget. His letter describes the role of the hiring lines while noting that substantial amounts of the allocated funds, $269,000 in fiscal year 22, went unspent due to vacant personnel lines. The letter additionally states unspent funds in excess of 10% of the total funding are placed in a reserve account for after the CBA expires, which is not included in the financial documentation shared by Parks. After receiving both pieces of correspondence, the funding concerns identified by Community Board 9 EDC committee remain. It's unclear to committee members whether the personnel lines are currently filled and whether the West Harlem Piers Park receives the benefits provided by 9 full-time staff members solely focused on on the West Harlem Piers Park. The committee is concerned that resources allocated to the West Harlem Piers Park are being spent on the West Harlem Park, on other park needs, that is, and the documentation received so far is insufficient evidence to the contrary. As 14 years of the 25-year CBA have elapsed, it's critically important for Community Board 9 to have transparency into how the $18.2 million in community benefit agreement funds are being spent. We are interested in obtaining a comprehensive accounting of the CBA funds allocated and spent by the Department of Parks on the West Harlem Piers Park. To this end, we kindly request a detailed report that includes, 1, every year since the CB9 was signed, an exact breakdown of planned and actual expenditures funded by the CBA, including but not limited to personnel, maintenance, landscaping, and administrative costs. 2, an accounting of the reserve account to be spent after the CBA expires. 3, detailed job descriptions for the funded personnel lines indicating what proportion of their time was dedicated to providing enhanced services for the West Harlem Piers Park and which services were provided as a result. We appreciate the work your office does in maintaining fiscal transparency and accountability. We believe that this information will not only aid Community Board 9 in its duties, but also foster a sense of trust and collaboration between the city officials and our community. Thank you for your attention to this matter. We look forward to your prompt response and are available for any further discussions and clarifications needed.
Just like you said, a very well written letter. Martin Gray.
No, Clayton said.
Now, point of clarification, please. On page 2, okay, on page 2, in the second half, the paragraph that starts out with after receiving both pieces of correspondence. The last sentence there, as 14 years of the 25-year CBA have elapsed, it's critically important for Manhattan Community Board 9 to have transparency into how the 18.2 million CB funds are being spent. When you say 18.2 million, is that the cumulative figure for 14 years of $500,000 with compounding 3%?
3% escalator, annual escalator, right?
So that's what that would add up to. You did that kind of like formula?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. How the
and that
thank you for answering that question. So then can I just suggest that we change that into saying to how the money has been spent, because they're claiming that they already spent it and that we got the benefits, and we have a list of projects that have not even begun to be done. So we want to know how the $18.2 million has been spent.
Have been spent.
Or yeah, okay, have been spent, or
Yes.
but not like are being.
You're right.
That's just my suggestion.
Yep.
My suggestion on that. Okay, my other suggestion was, okay, I was looking at on page 1 how you talked about 1 through 5 at the bottom, these different things, the bike and pedestrian infrastructure improvements, permanent public toilets, number 2. 3, public access to the shoreline. I don't know what that entails, but then 4, rehab the public access to the marine transfer station, and 5, restore a boat launch. Okay, so all 5 of those are capital projects. Those are all capital improvement projects, the way I'm looking at it.
Yes.
So my idea or suggestion was on page 2 at the bottom, you say, for every year since the CB9 was signed, an exact breakdown of planned and actual expenditures funded by the CBA, including but not limited to personnel, maintenance, landscaping, and administrative costs. But can you include, capital projects or Because all these things that you have on page 1 are like capital improvements. And, you know, just having more, okay, like personnel, what does that mean? It's just like parks guards or parks police?
Yes, that's what they've said they've been paying for over the past 14 years. That and in fact, that's what the CBA allowed for. What we're asking for is other commitments to be covered by the CBA funds, including capital plan, capital projects.
Yeah, I maybe I'm not articulating this very well, but I guess I'm looking at you're very specific with the items on the first page. All of them sound like capital improvements, capital projects. And
No,
have
you
they
make
spent
perfect sense.
have they spent any money on capital improvements?
No, they haven't. No, they haven't. What they in such accounting as they've done, and that the specific accounting that we have been provided was from John Harold of the Riverside Parks Conservancy. In the
that was for 1 fiscal year, right?
No, well, yes, actually it was, but they haven't provided for anything but parks personnel, and you know. And also events programming. That's what
events, events program.
I want to interject because this is a very grave situation here. Like I said even before, the subject has to be straight to the point. And I change it and I've suggested request for accountability and transparency. 14 years of funds allocated to West Harlem, blah, 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 short like that. So the person who read that note know what it's about already. That here there's a problem of transparency, accountability, and there's a question of time. Not 1 year, but 14 years. That really call your attention. So now the first sentence was like, I think the I is not. We are coming at it collectively.
Absolutely.
So we can say the Manhattan Economic Board collectively are writing to you on behalf of
the community.
Yeah. So when you say about neighbors, for me, neighbors is in general. But when we say about constituent, I think it brings another denotation of not accountability, but of concern.
And accountability. No, you're absolutely right, because he's accountable to constituents. You're right.
Constituent.
That's right.
Then,
yes, they are accountable to constituents. You're right.
So at the last paragraph of the first page the first page and the last paragraph, we say raise questions. We are raising more questions. Raise questions and concern.
Where you at?
In the past, members of MCB9 raised questions and concern about whether the funding allocated, blah, 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 and then instead of just benefit, I say, because it's in the past, benefited, has benefited. So this is from 2008 until now and further. Not that benefits, but has benefited.
Or the extent to which the the funds expended have benefited.
Yes, and then this is just a redundance at the end. I say, since the funding has been provided, but as the has benefited will cover that. Then for Mr.
One quick thing, John Martin, I just sent you Clo2 edits.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
And then I have two more. So the first paragraph on the second page.
Okay.
We talk about Steve Simon. So Steve Simon, we need his title and his role. Yes. Who he is. We need to know what his title and his role. And then
yes. Thank you. Sorry.
Send an estimate of if he say on the letter, the report, he say about estimate, leave it that way. But we can say an unspecified operating budget.
Mm-hmm.
So somewhere we say about disbursed for fiscal year FY, we didn't put 23.
Wait a minute.
We are
Wait,
missing
hold on.
third
Cotille.
line.
He started out, Steve Simon sent an estimate of the operating budget of the funds for fiscal FY 23.
Yes.
Okay. But did he ever follow up with the real thing?
No.
He sent you the estimate. What?
This is it. So that's what I said. That estimate become unspecified.
Well,
whatever, but so disbursed for fiscal year 23. We can you gonna add that. And then instead of writing just 9, I think the number 9 has to come clearly. 9.
Where are you at?
Third line.
Oh, 9 full-time hiring lines. I see. His report allocates the entirety.
So
Chris, your edits are on.
So this
look here.
Yeah. So
okay, I see what you're saying. I see the 9 full-time. So what is it that you want done with that?
Just a number, right?
Yes, you know.
Oh, the number rather than the.
So somewhere when we say because the budget, and then somewhere I say because not only the budget was presented as an estimate, but also no context was provided. So the last line was express concern over the veracity of the report. I added something a little bit more stronger: authenticity and veracity. And then further request to
Wait, stop there, please. Rather than authenticity, say accuracy.
Accuracy. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, that's the word. Accuracy and veracity. Accuracy tells all, yes, of the report. Then we say further request to, then we miss the name. To who? We forgot about the name of someone here.
Was this, I give it Stephen, you sent another request to Stephen Simon and he's.
Well, I don't know that Steve Simon is there anymore. We need to check. But Steve Simon, I don't think he was the commissioner.
All right, but
it's easy enough to get his title.
Yeah,
all right.
We can sort of.
We can do that. So that's okay. Yeah. So you got the
I have the correspondence.
and then you send it to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but before you go on any further, before that last line, okay, that's okay. I understand that. You followed up to get an exact accounting, but you didn't get any reply. Okay, so
that's why we have this letter.
So all we're
actually, with the reply that we got, I think he delegated the response to John Harold, who is the what is it, Riverside Parks Conservancy staff member, and who
that's
gave.
not the same as NYC Parks Department, though.
It's part of the NYC Department of Parks.
But it's a nonprofit.
That's a separate non-complete.
Different entity, right?
Okay, all right, okay.
Okay. No, it's a bunch of rich people who take care of Riverside Park. Right?
I'm gonna tell them what you said.
What? So I'm just, it's okay if they, you know how they like to do. Because they do the same thing for Central Park Conservancy, you know, it's like.
But, so you will add for the last year where I say collaboration between because in 15 years, Columbia will look, they will have to report everything. So I want them to receive also, look at that letter to know that we had also concerns. So foster a sense of trust and collaboration between Columbia University or CBA, I don't know, the city official, we, the MCB9, and our community, if we can add all those stakeholders. And then at the end, we don't thank him just like that. We are talking to the controller lenders. So we are also putting him into accountability. So I say, controller lender, come and thank you for your time. So we make it short. We look forward to your prompt response for that. We are available, not and we are available, but small, very straight to the point. And for the annexes, that's French. I don't know how it is here, but we put it at the end and we enumerate annexes.
You mean carbon copies to other
Attachment.
cities?
Attachment.
Yes, we put it at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah, ENCL goes at the end.
Yes.
Right.
That's what that's.
Okay, yeah, I got you. I what you said.
Thank you for your edits. I think they make the, I think they make the edit.
But I really like the whole letter by itself say clearly that we fiscal year 23, at least we have raised that concern and we are going, but I like it. Thank you so much.
Well done, Clayton Sanford. And thank you, Clotilde.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you very much for.
I need to excuse myself, folks. I'm navigating some discomfort, and the ice is no longer working.
Hope you feel better.
Yes.
Okay, thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you much.
Thank you.
So, I think we should take the document, give ourselves time to look at it, and then send your comments this week. Okay. All right.
What'll be the next step after that? Will we contact the other community board members, or what comes next?
No. No.
Where is Vince?
Victor.
Victor. Where's Victor? I thought he would. I thought he would have something to say about this. I'm just a little surprised that he's not. He's not.
No, he was there.
He was
just
here.
for the economic. I think he was just here for the zoning proposal.
Mm-hmm.
He's not here anymore.
Well, I think the letter has to be channeled towards him. He's the one. After we finish the drafting and everything, we feel comfortable with the content, and we are really comfortable. Then Victor will be the messenger to bring the letter to who may talk with concern. And that gives even more weight as well. And then the co-chair.
Yeah, Victor's the chair, so.
No, I mean, Mrs. Honorable Marita and Honorable Joyce.
Yeah. I got you. That sounds good.
Oh, God.
I support the letter. What did Michael write? Can somebody read that out, please?
Michael says he supports the letter as written, but he needs to excuse himself because it's 2 a.m. where he's at.
I remember.
So he's somewhere east of us.
Yes.
Yeah. So I will also, that's why I was saying that we should have time to review the letter plus all the inputs that have been made this evening, and then figure out what the next step would be.
Okay, can I
in consultation with Victor.
One last comment. It may be the way things are going, to conserve our future funding streams, we may have to consider asking the controller to set up an escrow fund to receive our monies. Because there's so much non-transparency going on in the Parks Department. I don't see why they should keep getting the money. We don't know where it goes.
No.
If it goes from Columbia into an escrow account set up by the New York City Controller, then we know where it's going. And we have a little more input into it, or we can somehow leverage the influence of the controller to get more transparency and more get these people to spend the money the way we want it to be spent, particularly on all these capital enhancements.
Do you think that would be good to spell out in the letter?
Well, I'm not saying in the letter, but I'm just saying that that's something that
at least if we're
that should be considered, be thought about.
Oh, I think it's something we may add in the letter.
I mean, if
to
we're
have a
across the table,
meeting.
if Victor's
Yes.
across the table from the controller,
Yeah.
you may want to
Yes.
ask for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we can
know what I
ask
mean?
for,
Because Columbia, I could see them pussyfooting around and taking a long time, or even more time. Oh, we don't have the records. We don't have records at all. They're blah, 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 blah. Hey, all right. But for now, going forward, the money goes directly into an escrow account. But I don't trust you.
talk about that also, like 2-3 months.
Okay, fine. But anyway, it's just an idea. I don't think it needs to be added to the letter, because that'd be too much.
Yeah.
But as a strategy, it could be something that we bring up with Victor,
That sounds good.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll discuss that with Victor. All right, Clayton, well done. Everybody, well done.
Thank you very much.
What's the next on the agenda? I can't see it. I think that's it, right? New business? I'm not hearing you.
Is there more new business? If there's no more new business, we're supposed to adjourn. That's what it says on the agenda.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, I didn't hear you guys for a second there.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. All right. So, in the absence of any other matter, can we move for adjournment? Is there a motion to move for adjournment?
Yeah.
Move.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so moved by Clayton, second by, all right. Thank you, everybody. Great meeting today. Got a lot done. Yeah, especially to the city of Yes and also this letter. So